This is Atlantic Television Network. Welcome to Global News. First, the highlights. Elders commend Wike's political decisions for state stability. Suspected terrorists abduct passengers on Kwara Highway. And federal government inaugurates committee to train Nigerians in digital skills. Nance endorses tax reform law. Venezuela opposition leader commends U.S. action against Maduro. NPFL fixes January 14 for second stanza of 2025 to 26 season. DJ Kupi stops social media activities for personal retreat. Welcome back. Chairman of the Rivers Elders Council, Chief Ferdinand Alabraba, has commended the decision of the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Nyesom Wike, to support the candidacy of President Bola Tinubu ahead of the 2027 general elections. Alabraba made the remarks in Abonima, Akokotoro local government area of Rivers State on Tuesday during the minister's thank you visit, and the elder statesman hailed Wike as an icon in Nigeria's contemporary politics and also acknowledged his pragmatic style of politics and astute leadership. This is coming after, in October 2025, both Wike and his successor, Governor Siminalayi Fubara, met with members of the Rivers Elders Council in what was considered a move geared towards reconciliation after President Tinubu reinstated the governor following the declaration of a 6-month emergency rule in the state. A statement by his senior special assistant on public communication and social media, Larry Olayinka, the meeting was said to have been attended by the Speaker of the Rivers State House of Assembly, Martins Amehule, with aid, adding that the Rivers State political family is fully united, but tensions were reignited in December 2025 following Fubara's defection to the ruling All Progressives Congress, a move the minister has repeatedly stated would not guarantee a second-term ticket. According to Alabraba, the minister took 2 critical decisions in 2023, including handing over the governorship to the Ijaw people a position he said had eluded the ethnic nationality for 24 years, and described the failure of Governor Fubara to show appreciation for Wike's support as an aberration, stating that the Ijaw people are not ungrateful. Alabraba also assured the minister of the support of the people of Abonima in the Akokotoro local government area of Rivers State. Former Secretary to the government of Rivers State, Dr. Tami Danagogo, has denied allegations linking him to a purported assassination plot against the minister of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT Nyesom Wike, alongside Pastor Tom Barry Joseph, Ben Oil, and others. A statement signed by his special assistant Obele Briggs, Dr. Danagogo described the allegations circulating on certain online platforms as baseless, false, and deliberately fabricated, adding that he has never engaged in any discussion, meeting, or plan involving violence, assassination, or unlawful activities. According to Danagogo, the claims are malicious attempts to tarnish his reputation, mislead the public, and drag his name into issues he has no knowledge about. And the statement described the former SSG to the Rivers State government as a peace-loving, law-abiding citizen who has served Rivers State and Nigeria with distinction and integrity. Danagogo also clarified that he is not on the run as alleged and is ready to make himself available to the police or any responsible law enforcement agency for investigation if invited. Rivers State Police Command has arrested 12 suspects in connection with a violent attack on Unity Estate located at Mbodo Alo Airport Road, Port Harcourt. The incident occurred on January 5, 2025, when suspected members of the OSPAC vigilante group drawn from various communities in Obiakpo local government area, alongside hired thugs armed with pump-action guns, cutlasses, and other dangerous weapons, invaded the estate, and the assailants attacked and fired shots indiscriminately, causing panic and apprehension. A statement by the police PPRO SP Grace Iringekoko said preliminary investigations revealed that one Patrick Akando and Omakwelem Onu Ihun operatives coordinated the attack and are currently at large. The attack resulted in destruction of parts of the estate and damage to vehicles, while one Apostle Stephen Macha, a native of Rumekini community, sustained a gunshot injury to the leg, which was shattered and was subsequently abducted by the attackers, while others sustained various degrees of injuries and fled into nearby bushes for safety. Upon receipt of the distress call, operatives attached to the Toba Division swiftly mobilized to the scene and were reinforced by the Anti-Kidnapping Unit AKU and Octopus tactical teams. The Akpo OSPAC Commander Asubike aka Ocean led the attack and is currently at large. Meanwhile, the Commissioner of Police Rivers State Command, CP Olubenga A. Adekboju, have strongly condemned the reckless and reprehensible actions of the OSPAC operatives for taking the law into their hands, and further reiterated that OSPAC operatives are expected to operate strictly under the supervision of the police and in synergy with the command. Akwa Ibom State Governor Umo Aino has signed into law the 2026 appropriation bill of 1,584 trillion naira. The budget is made up of a recurrent expenditure of 416 billion naira, while 1 trillion naira is earmarked for capital expenditure. Speaking after signing the appropriation bill during the enlarged State Executive Council meeting at the EXCO Chambers Government House, and recommended the synergy between the House of Assembly and the executive arm of government, and attributed the collaboration to the numerous achievements recorded in the state last year, while urging members of the council to be ready for total commitment and passion in service delivery, warning that no excuse will be tolerated for non-performance. Earlier, the Speaker of the House of Assembly, Udeme Otong, lauded the governor for his transparency and collaborative approach to governance, insisting that the House of Assembly is appreciative of the results achieved by his government. The budget represented marks a 16% decrease of 260 billion naira from the revised 2025 budget. Teachers in Abia State, under the umbrella of the Nigeria Union of Teachers, have threatened to embark on an indefinite strike if the state government fails to address their welfare demands within 7 days. The threat is contained in a notice of ultimatum dated January 5, 2026 and signed by the Abia State NUT Chairman Kingsley Madu, and the State Secretary Inenna Okonkwo said the ultimatum follows what the union described as government inaction on issues, adding that the industrial harmony currently enjoyed in the state is being endangered by the failure of relevant government officials to act on teachers' grievances. The NUT further called for the cancellation of the proposed computer-based test formats for promotion interviews, and also warned that failure to meet these demands at the expiration of the ultimatum would leave it with no option but to direct its members to commence an indefinite strike. Abia State Police Command has commenced an investigation into the incident that led to the death of a community leader, Igwe Aku, in the Okun Aku community of the Ohafia local government area of the state last Friday. A statement by the police public relations officer in the state, Maureen Chiomakachi, said normalcy had been restored in the community, adding that some suspects had been arrested in connection with the incident. This is coming after the Commissioner of Police in the state, Dan Ladi Isa, deployed operatives from the Ohafia Divisional Headquarters alongside 2 tactical teams to the area to restore and maintain law and order. Lagos State House of Assembly says it is committed to making people-oriented laws to promote good governance and accelerated development in the state. The chairman, House of Assembly Committee on Information Security and Strategy, Mr. Stephen Ogundibe, made a commitment in Lagos on Tuesday. Ogundibe, representing Oshodi Isholo Constituency 1, said 2025 was an eventual year for the House and that the Assembly, under the leadership of the Speaker, Mudashiru Obasa, would hit the ground running for more impactful laws. In 2026, adding that the House had planned many activities for 2026, promising that it would surpass its achievements in 2025. He said the Lagos State Tenancy and Recovery of Premises Bill, the Local Government Administration Bill, and the Lagos Electricity Bill among the impactful bills passed in 2025 and further urged residents to be faithful in paying their taxes to enable the government deliver on its mandate. The lawmaker commended the Speaker, Mr. Mudashiru Obasa, who for what he called his exemplary leadership, and also commended legislative staff for their commitment to the service of the state. Oyo State government has suspended the Shobaloju of Ofiki, Chief Jacob Shobaloju, following the allegations linking him to illegal mining activities and breaches of Executive Order 001/2023, which governs mining operations within the state. The state government said the action was taken to protect the public interest and preserve government gazetted assets. In a suspension letter issued by the Ministry of Local Government and Chieftaincy Matters and signed by the Director of Chieftaincy Matters, Mr. Olajire A.M., the traditional ruler was accused of contravening the executive order and forest reserve regulations by allegedly issuing consent letters to mining firms without lawful authorization, and further alleged that Chief Shobaloju permitted mining activities within government reserved forest areas and facilitated unauthorized mining actions that are violations of extant laws and regulations. According to the ministry, the monarch was suspended from the palace of the Onito of Ito with effect from Monday, January 5, 2025, 2026, pending the outcome of investigations, and further described as a precautionary step to ensure an unhindered and credible investigation process. The Oyo State government reaffirmed its zero-tolerance stance on illegal mining and related infractions, warning that any individual found culpable will be sanctioned in line with the law. Independent National Electoral Commission has cautioned the people of Ekiti State against multiple registration for the permanent voter card, saying such would attract due sanctions. The INEC resident electoral commissioner in Ekiti State, Bumi Omoshe Yindemi, said anybody who is involved in multiple registration or commits any other infractions in the ongoing continuous voter registration exercise in the state will be dealt with according to the dictates of the law. Omoshe Yindemi made this known in a chat with journalists in Ado Ekiti following the commencement of the second phase of continuous voter registration exercise in Ekiti State. He urged stakeholders to mobilize those who have not registered in the previous exercises, particularly those who just attained the age of 18, to do so in order to be able to perform the civic responsibility of voting in the June 20 elections and further future polls. This is coming after the first phase of the continuous voter registration exercise, which began on August 25, 2025 and ended on December 10, 2025, to pave the way for the display of the data of voters who registered on the list for claims and objections. INEC had fixed June 20 for the conduct of the Ekiti State governorship election for the occupier of the office of governor, effective from October 16, and the electoral body on December 29, 2025 released the provisional list of candidates for the June 20 election, adding that, according to INEC guidelines, the opportunity of the political parties to withdraw and replace candidacies will lapse on January 12, while the electoral body will publish the final list of nominated candidates of the participating political parties on January 19. The REC, who recently reiterated the electoral body's commitment to free, fair and credible elections in the state, had urged political parties, politicians, the electorate and residents to support its efforts to build public confidence in the electoral process in the country. Kwara State Police Command has confirmed the receipt and subsequent release of 6 vigilante members earlier arrested by personnel of the Nigerian Army in Edo State. The command, in a statement issued on Tuesday by its police public relations officer SP Adotun Ejire Adeyemi, said the vigilantes who were earlier arrested along the Auchi-Ikpeshi Road in Akoko Edo local government area of the Edo State in early December 2025 were handed over to the command on Wednesday, December 31, 2025. According to the statement, the suspects were traveling in a vehicle belonging to a Ifelodun local government area of Kwara State when they were intercepted by soldiers. The 6 vigilante members were formally handed over to the Kwara State Police Command by the Brigade Commander 22 Armored Brigade, Shobi Barracks, Ilorin Brigadier General N.N. Rume, for investigation and profiling, and were later exonerated of any criminal wrongdoing and were subsequently released to their respective leaders. The Commissioner of Police in the state, CP Ojo Adekimi, reiterated the command's commitments to interagency collaboration and synergy with community-based security outfits, while urging vigilante groups to always operate within the confines of the law. The police assured the residents of the state of their continued resolve to ensure the safety and security of lives and property across Kwara State. Benue State Police Command has arrested 3 suspects in connection with robbery and court-related activities, just days after 4 suspected cultists were apprehended in Boko local government area during a clash that reportedly left 2 members dead. The State Command spokesperson, DSP Udeme Edet, who disclosed this in a statement on Tuesday, said 2 suspects were arrested in Vadenkia local government area while attempting to rob members of the public, and on the same day, a suspected cultist was apprehended in Guma local government area. Items recovered from the 2 scenes included 1 cutlass, 1 knife, hard drugs, 1 locally fabricated revolver pistol, and 1 jackknife. Preliminary investigations revealed that the suspected cultist confessed to being a member of the MBS cult group. DSP Edet said efforts are ongoing to apprehend the fleeing suspects, while further investigations are being handled by the state CID, Makurdi. The Commissioner of Police, Benue State Command, Emenari Ifeanyi, have assured residents that the command remains determined to eradicate cultism and all forms of criminality across the state, and further urge members of the public to continue providing timely and credible information to support effective policing. We'll go on a quick break, and when we return, we'll continue the rest of our stories. Do stay tuned. Welcome back. This is the Global News on Atlantic Television Network, and now to the rest of our stories. Federal government has inaugurated a joint implementation committee to oversee the training and certification of 1 million Nigerians in digital literacy and emerging technology skills. The committee was inaugurated in Abuja on Tuesday by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, George Akume, and represented by the Permanent Secretary General Services Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Ibrahim Kana. Akume said the committee would also be responsible for planning and organizing a national digital literacy conference as part of broader efforts to deepen human capital development and support Nigeria's digital transformation agenda. He described the inauguration as a major step towards achieving the federal government's target of 95% digital literacy by 2030 and strengthening national workforce readiness, and also clarified that although the program aligns with federal policy direction and receives coordination support from government institutions, it is fully funded and implemented by Clergy Wealth Cooperative Society Limited. According to him, the initiative supports key decisions reached at the 13th National Council on Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy meeting held in December 2025, including the adoption of the future-proof economy model as a national framework for digital literacy delivery, adding that the committee is expected to provide leadership, oversight and stakeholder coordination for the rollout of the training program nationwide, with priority given to youths, women, underserved communities and persons with disabilities. Inspector General of Police Olukayode Egbotokun has ordered the deployment of Deputy Inspector General of Police Mohammed Hussain Gumel and 17 Commissioners of Police to strategic departments, commands and formations across Nigeria. According to a post by the first Public Relations Officer, Abuja Chief Superintendent of Police Benjamin Hundehin, on the Nigerian Police Forces X handled on Tuesday, the deployments are intended to strengthen operational capacity, effective leadership, enhance public safety and improve their service delivery. Under the new arrangements, DIG Gumel will lead the Force Intelligence Department FID, while CP Aina Adeshola is assigned to the Delta State Police Command, and CP Omar Mohammed Ajedia to the Kebbi State Police Command, and CP Iyama Daniel Edebo to the Bayelsa State Police Command. Other notable deployments include the CP Osagie John Agans Irabo Anti-Human Trafficking Unit, FCID Annex Lagos, while CP Johnson Ayodeji Babalola Special Inquiries Bureau, FCID Abuja, and CP Adepegba K. Adetoye Marine Units Force Headquarters Abuja, as well as CP Tabitha Bako Deputy Commandant, Police College Kaduna, including others. Egbotokun charged the deployed officers to leverage their experience to provide results-oriented leadership, uphold professionalism, integrity and ethical standards, and ensure strict adherence to the rule of law in the discharge of their duties. Chief of Army Staff Lieutenant General Waidi Shaibu says the Nigerian Army will do everything humanly possible to stem the tide of increasing terrorist attacks in Niger and other parts of Nigeria. The Chief of Army Staff spoke on Tuesday in Minna, Niger State at the opening of the 2026 Doctrine and Training Conference at the Doctrine and Training Command of the Nigerian Army, adding that the Nigerian Army is committed to fully implementing the directive of President Bola Tinubu in this regard. The Army Chief said the Nigerian Army is leveraging technology to bolster its operational capabilities across the nation and to review activities and get feedback from the field, and with a view to consolidating the 2025 gains for a more robust 2026 training year. Speaking earlier, the Commander of Tradoc, Major General Peter Mala, said the conference marks the commencement of activities for training institutions in 2026 and also provides a robust intellectual platform for engagement, adding that the conference is both timely and relevant. According to him, the extant operational environment requires an army that is agile, forward-looking and doctrinally grounded. Barely 48 hours after terrorists killed over 40 persons in Agwara and Bogo local government areas of Niger State, suspected terrorists in early hours of yesterday attacked the Buzi Ishanlu Ishin Omoro Aran Road in Kwara State, kidnapping at least 4 travelers. This came on the day suspected terrorists attacked a security outpost manned by the Niger Police Border Patrol Team at New Kali village in Bogu, also in Niger State. This is coming after residents of communities in Agwara and Bogo local government areas of Niger State fled their ancestral homes following the Saturday deadly attack by terrorists on the communities, while rumors of another impending attack is being planned by outlaws. Meanwhile, Former Anambra State Governor and presidential candidate of Labour Party in 2023 elections, Peter Obi has condemned the killing of over 40 persons in Niger State, urging the federal government to halt what he described as a growing normalization of mass killings across the country. Recall that on November 18, 2025, government attacked a Christ Apostolic Church CAC branch at Eruku during its midweek service, killing 3 worshippers and abducting 38 members, including the pastor, and throwing the congregation into panic and chaos, and the abducted victims were later released. However, terrorist attacks are still on the rise in the north-central state. Similarly, bandits attacked a security outpost manned by the Niger Police Border Patrol team at New Kali village in Bogu, Niger State, as well as attack which occurred around midnight yesterday came at less than 48 hours after dozens of traders and farmers were killed at Kasumwan Daji, also in Bogu local government area. African Union Peace and Security Council has renewed the mandate of the multinational joint task force of fighting Boko Haram in the Lake Chad basin for another 12 months. The multinational joint task force fighting Boko Haram in the Lake Chad basin comprises military personnel from Benin, Cameroon, Chad, and Nigeria, and is headquartered in N'Djamena with the mandate to end the Boko Haram insurgency. And Niger was a member until its withdrawal in 2025. The extension adopted at the council's The extension adopted at the Council's 1,318th meeting held on December 15, 2025 and obtained from the AU website on Monday, and the renewed mandate will run from February 1, 2026 to January 31, 2027. The Council endorsed a report of the chairperson of the AU Commission on the activities of the MNJTF and acknowledged what he described as progress made so far in combating terrorism and violent extremism in the Lake Chad Basin, and also condemned ongoing terrorist attacks in the region and paid tribute to multinational joint task force fighting Boko Haram in the Lake Chad Basin personnel who have died in the line of duty. At the same time, the Council said persistent funding and capability gaps, including shortages of air and amphibious assets, as well as counterfeit drone and anti-IED equipment were needed, and urged member states and partners to honor past pledges and provide additional assistance ahead of the new operation. United World Congress of Diplomats, in collaboration with the International Institute of Experts on Political Economy and Administration, have commended President Bola Tinubu for Nigeria's growing military cooperation with the United States, particularly recent air operations against terrorist groups. The diplomats gave the commendation at a press conference in Abuja, while presenting an assessment report on the ongoing war against terrorism in Nigeria. Unveiling the report, the UNWCDG Secretary General Professor Tunji Asholu lauded the expanding partnership between the Nigerian military and the United States, describing recent joint operations as precise, disciplined, and effective, adding that despite the scale of recent military engagement, no civilian casualties were recorded, a development he said underscored professionalism and strict adherence to international rules of engagement. However, he warned that continued attacks across parts of the country showed that terrorism has not been completely eradicated, and also cited the recent bandit attack at Kasumwan Daji in Niger State, where over 40 people were killed, as evidence that Nigeria's security architecture still requires urgent recalibration. He said the incident reinforced the need for a surgical cleansing of the defense system, particularly of officials whose continued presence in sensitive positions raises public suspicion or personal concerns, and further caution against destabilizing scenarios similar to the recent Venezuela crisis, where a sitting president was arrested during a full-scale military operation allegedly involving the United States. Asholu's remarks come amid renewed public attention on Nigeria's security challenges, following confirmation by the President of the United States, Donald Trump, that American forces carried out an airstrike targeting suspected terrorist elements in Nigeria. An operation was conducted based on shared intelligence and in coordination with the Nigerian government as part of ongoing efforts to degrade extremist groups operating in the country. Federal High Court in Abuja has granted the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission an interim of official order for 30.7 million naira allegedly linked to fraudulent activities involving officials of the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited. Justice Emeka Mwite ruling on an ex parte application filed by the AFCC held that the commission had placed sufficient material before the court to justify the temporary forfeiture of the funds to the federal government, and ordered that the forfeiture notice be published in a national newspaper, giving interested parties 14 days to show cause while the funds should not be permanently forfeited. The matter was adjourned until January 22 for the EFCC to file a compliance report on the publication. While in its supporting affidavit, the EFCC said the funds were currently lodged in its recovery accounts with United Bank for Africa under a manager's check name, pending forfeiture to the federal government. The anti-graft agency told the court that the funds were discovered during investigations into alleged fraudulent activities involving some high-profile officials of the NNPC, as well as other criminal petitions received by the commission, adding that the analysis of the ledger revealed that over 4 billion naira was transferred to the accounts of different individuals and companies on the instruction of Mr. Ibrahim Sani, a staff member of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. The EFCC further admitted he neither verified nor ascertained the source of the funds, while the commission denied the ownership of the 30.7 million naira found in Yakubu's account at the time of investigation. And under Nigeria's Assets Recovery Framework, interim forfeiture orders allow law enforcement agencies to preserve suspected proceeds of crime, while affected parties are given the opportunity to challenge the forfeiture before it becomes final. And now to some business news. National Association of Nigerian Students, NANS, has expressed support for the recently enacted tax reform law, describing it as a well-intentioned fiscal policy aimed at strengthening Nigeria's economy and protecting low-income earners. The endorsement followed extensive deliberations at the maiden expanded National Executive Council (ENEC) meeting of NANS-themed National Executive Council and Structural Stakeholders Forum 2026 on the Tax Reform Act, which brought together student leaders, policy experts, and key stakeholders from across the country. The meeting, held amid public debate and controversy over the new tax law, was attended by members of the NANS National Executive Council, leaders of NAOS, NAPS, and NANSIS, zonal coordinators, joint campus council chairpersons, female students associations, and other stakeholders. This is coming after NANS earlier issued a 14-day ultimatum threatening nationwide protests if implementation of the laws was not suspended pending further investigations and public enlightenment. However, following engagements with the National Assembly, the Department of State Services (DSS) and the Federal Inland Revenue Service (FIRS), as well as the publication of the National Assembly's investigation reports, student leaders reported being better briefed on the objectives and safeguards embedded in the law. Chairman of the Communique Drafting Committee and NANS President Comrade Olushola Oladoja said students are satisfied with the explanations provided by the government, while tax experts from FIRS used the forum to clarify grey areas and respond to concerns raised by Nigerians, giving student leaders a clearer understanding of the reform's intent and framework, while NANS also pledged to serve as ambassadors of public enlightenment, committing to educate Nigerians on the purpose and benefits of the better reform to boost public confidence during its implementation. Nigeria Revenue Service says only officially gazette assets of acts of the National Assembly carry legal authority and are binding on taxpayers and revenue administrators, while dismissing claims that the country's newly enacted tax reform laws were altered after passage. The executive chairman of Nigeria Revenue Service, Zach Adedeji, who disclosed this in Abuja, said the provisions of the recently enacted tax reform laws changed the nomenclature of the country's apex tax authority from FIRS to NRS. According to Adedeji, NRS is not branding, adding that it is a total institutional upgrade, moving from fragmented revenue administration to a modern, which is digitalized, centralized, and intelligence-driven system, stressing that under the new framework, multiple tax and revenue-related functions previously spread across agencies have been consolidated with a stronger emphasis on data integration, automation, and reduced human discretion. He dismissed allegations that the country's newly enacted tax reform laws were altered after passage by the National Assembly, adding that the overall aim is to focus on taxing profits and returns rather than capital. And now international tidbits. Central African Republic President Faustin Archange Todare has won a third term after securing an outright majority in last month's presidential election. The 68-year-old mathematics professor was widely expected to win after the main opposition coalition boycotted the poll, citing concerns about electoral fairness. Todare, a campaign on his security record in a chronically unstable nation after rebels seized power in 2013, a crisis that led the government to enlist support from Russian mercenaries and Rwandan soldiers. He has faced heavy criticism after a 2023 constitution removed term limits, allowing him to keep running for office. Tunisian court has freed a group of humanitarian workers after suspending sentences for facilitating the illegal entry and residence of migrants. Sharifa Rahi, the former director of the French NGO Terre de Arciel, and several members of the House staff had already spent more than 20 months in jail by the time of their final hearing on Monday. And hours after the hearing, Reayi's support committee posted a video of her leaving prison overnight, declaring, her colleagues had also been freed. Mahmoud Daoud Yacoub, a member of Reayi's defense team, said the court had handed down a 2-year suspended sentence to the defendants who were in pretrial detention. The defendants' lawyers had argued that they were simply carrying out an humanitarian work under a state-approved program in coordination with the government. Venezuelan opposition leader Maria Corina Machado says the arrest of Nicolas Maduro is a huge step for humanity, for freedom and human dignity. Maduro and his wife Celia Flores were seized from their Caracas compound on Saturday and flown to the U.S. as part of the Special Forces operations. And hours after Maduro appeared in New York court, Machado said she is grateful for U.S. President Donald Trump's actions. Machado left Venezuela last month to accept the Nobel Peace Prize for her fight against what the Norwegian Nobel Committee called a dictatorship. She hasn't returned since, and despite that, his removal, political repression has intensified in Venezuela. Maduro's opponents fear taking to the streets to celebrate Venezuela was a gangster state, and it was morally right for the U.S. to send troops and seize it. Then President Nicolas Maduro, Tory leader Kemi Bandanog earlier said. Here now is 18 Sports News. Nigeria Premier Football League and NPFL says the second stanza of the 2025 and 26 season will commence on Wednesday, 14 January 2026. The feature will start with midweek games across all the designated NPFL centers, and the league body urged clubs to expect fixtures congestion in the second stanza. Rivers United occupy top position on the NPFL table with 37 points from 19 matches. Super Eagles striker Victor Osimhen is three goals away from equaling Rashidi Yakini's Nigeria scoring record after a brace against Mozambique. This is coming after Nigeria trashed Mozambique 4-0 in the 25 AFCON round of 16 clash at the Complex Sportif d'Affaires in Morocco with goals from Osimhen, Ademola Lookman and Akko Adams. Osimhen struck in the 25th and 47th minutes to raise his international tally to 34 goals, 3 short of Yakini's long-standing record, and the Galatasaray forward was later substituted in the 63rd minute following a brief on-field disagreement with Lookman. In spite of nearing the record, Osimhen said his focus remains on helping Nigeria win the 4th AFCON title and has now scored 3 goals at AFCON 2025, placing him joint second in the tournament scoring chart. Nigeria will face either Algeria or DR Congo in Saturday's quarter-final encounter. And now, entertainment news. Senior pastor of Mountain of Liberation and Miracles Ministries, Chris Okafor, has failed to honor an invitation extended to him by the police over allegations of multiple rape and other offences capable of causing a breach of public peace. The cleric was invited to report to the State Criminal Investigation Department's PANTI to appear before the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of the SCID by 10 a.m. on Monday. A statement by the police public relations officer in the state, Abimbola Adebisi, said the Commissioner of Police Olohundare Dimo had ordered a thorough investigation into the allegations leveled against the pastor, and the invitation followed several complaints abording on alleged sexual offences and other acts capable of disrupting public order. An officer in SCID who pleaded anonymity as he was not permitted to speak to the press, however, said the cleric did not show up, but Okafor allegedly sent emissaries to the police department to give him more time. When contacted on Monday for reaction on the matter, Adebisi could not be reached as calls made to her telephone number were not responded to. Popular Nigerian disc jockey DJ Kupi says she will be stepping away from social media. The celebrity disc jockey made this known on X while sharing her New Year's resolution with her fans. She realized the need for her to embark on 21 days fasting to handle some personal matters in the new year 2026. And that's the global news for tonight. Before we go, another look at the major stories. Elders commend Wike's political decisions for state stability. Suspected terrorists abduct passengers on Kwara Highway. Federal government inaugurates committee to train Nigerians in digital skills. NANS endorses tax reform law. Venezuela opposition leader commends U.S. action against Maduro. NPFL fixes January 14 for second stanza of 2025 and 26 season. And Kupi stops social media activities for personal retreat. I am Favor. Chief Question Michael. Thank you for watching. You can follow us on social media platforms on Twitter now X at Atlantic TV Net, on Facebook and YouTube at Atlantic Television Network, and on Instagram at Atlantic TV Network. And don't forget peace and unity at the pathways to progress. Do have a wonderful night rest.